Hello and welcome to another video from me, Rough Swordsman, Wargamer. It's an open the box and it's an unboxing of a type of game I didn't think I'd ever have on the channel, purely because it didn't appeal. But here it is, and it's The British Way, Counterinsurgency at the End of Empire. Game designed by Stephen Rangazas and developed by Joe Dewhurst, published of course by GMT Games. And this is the reason it's a coin game, or games, because this is the first of a multi-pack of coin games. But I've decided to give this series a go because it's a multi-pack, because it's to do with Britain, and because recommendations from other people. So what's all this about? The British Way, Counterinsurgency at the End of Empire, is the first coin multi-pack containing 4 separate games that depict colonial emergencies in the final years of the British Empire. Each game is playable separately by 2 players, or 4 games can be combined into an End of Empire campaign that charts the progression of British decolonisation and includes events occurring elsewhere in the Empire. The games are designed to depict the full range of strategies used by the British during these conflicts, from the more benevolent but still coercive provisions of material benefits through pacification programs, to the horrific measures used to gain control over the local population. So there are 4 games in this multi-pack. We've got Palestine 1945 to 47, Malaya 1948 to 1960, Kenya 1952 to 1956, and Cyprus 1955 to 59. In the box we've got 2 double-sided game boards, 4 game event decks and 1 campaign event deck, 54 wooden pieces, 8 pawns, 1 counter sheet, 11 player aid cards, 4 rule stroke background booklets, 1 campaign stroke background booklet, and 2 6-sided dice. 2 players, ages 14 plus, playtime 1 to 2 hours, and on the complexity chart it's 4 out of 9, so quite a light game it looks like. But on the solitaire suitability, unlike a lot of the other coin games, this only has a solitaire suitability of 7 out of 9. I understand there isn't a bot in this series of games. You play both sides to the best of your ability. Here are the credits and some examples of the stuff in the box, including the maps, cards, and counters. Right, let's get the shrink wrap off. The shrink wrap is off, and 3-inch box. Let's open the box. First thing we see are the booklets. So quite a few of those. So let's have a look at these. So there are 5 booklets, 1 explaining how the campaign works, and then 4 separate rules of play for each of the 4 games included. There isn't a series rule book with special rules for each game. It looks like each game has its own separate rule book. So let's have a look at one of those. Here's the Palestine rules of play booklet, and they're very similar. I've had a quick look through the other 3. They're all 24 pages, full colour of course, matte paper, and look very similar inside, just sort of highlighting the differences in play. So you have an introduction explaining the map, the forces involved, players and factions, intel chits and arms caches, and these are where the differences lie for each game. Then we're into the sequence of play. And there's a propaganda card in the deck of cards, and I think as well, unlike the other coin games, top card is revealed and you can decide what you're going to do as players. But as I understand it, the top card of each card deck for each of the games is not revealed until the start of the turn. There are propaganda cards. When that is revealed, conduct a propaganda round. Operations, special activities, events on the cards, propaganda round that we mentioned earlier, victory. Then an example of play. And as I said earlier, these are all very similar looking rule booklets, each with its own example of play as well. That looks very good, so we can set it up and have a little play through. As I said, this is a completely new game series I never thought I would be interested in. And I am sort of secretly hoping I'm not, because if I do get into this series, there's a lot of them. But anyway, event tips and background. I think this is explaining the cards. Yes, a little bit of history, which is great. A strategy guide, key terms index, and the setup instructions. And here's the map on the back cover. So, them's the 4 rules booklets. And here's a quick look through the campaign booklet. 28 pages. Introduction, the End of Empire campaign, additional components you'll need for that, how to set it up, imperial prestige and colonial policy, campaign events, so it looks like it's got its own deck, pre-war options table, campaign event notes, like we had in the other rule books, pre-war options tables notes, the British way. This looks like some background history. Lots going on here, good. And some designer notes. And the developer, Joe Dewhurst, his developer notes, and a nice bibliography at the back, credits, and a counter manifest, and a quick start guide. There we are, that's the campaign rules. There are 2 copies of a player aid for each of the 4 games included, and I know some viewers like to see these, so we'll quickly go through them. Here's the handout for Palestine. We've got the Ergon operations and their special activities that they can do, and when you lower the political will. And on the other side, the British operations and their special activities and what they need to do to raise the political will. So they're all pretty similar looking. It's just that each protagonist has different things they can do. Here's the Kenyan player aid with the Mau Mau operation and their special activities. And lastly, Cyprus. Then we have a couple of player aids explaining what happens when the propaganda card turns up. This one has Palestine on one side, Malaya on the other, and the second one, Kenya and Cyprus. And the last player aid is used for the End of Empire campaign, and on the other side, pre-war options tables. Next, a single sheet of pre-rounded counters. There are some common ones you'll use for every game. Some I suspect are specific to the games. And here's the other side. 2 dice, a bag of wooden bits and pieces, and 2 bricks of cards. Let's have a look at these. There are 4 decks, of course, for each of the games included. I won't go through them all, but they are specific to events that happened during these specific games. But here's Palestine. We'll have a quick look through that just to show you what sort of cards you're going to get. I assume when this card is turned over, it's up to you to decide what part you want to do, but that also dictates what initiative you have for the next turn. Cunningham there. And here we've got the 3 propaganda cards, because if I remember correctly, each deck is split into 3 stacks, and each stack has a propaganda card in it, of course. When we get to the last propaganda card, that's game over. And I don't think you use every card for every deck. You take some of these to build your deck, and that of course adds to the replayability. Also included though are 2 smaller decks for what I assume is the campaign game. This one is End of Empire early period. So things that went on. And late period. Last out the box are the maps. Let's have a look at those. Here's the Palestine map. Nice smallish footprint showing you the available forces. The Haganah track here, which is sort of an abstract third party involvement, I believe. And on the other side, we have the Malayan map. Here's the Kenyan map. Very nice looking are these maps. And just to finish off, on the other side is Cyprus. And that's it. That's everything in the box. So this has been an Open the Box, an unboxing of my first ever coin game, or should I say games in this case. It is, of course, The British Way, Counterinsurgency at the End of Empire, a game designed by Stephen Rangazas and developed by Joe Dewhurst, with GMT Games doing the publication. As I say, this is my first coin game. Part of me is hoping that I don't enjoy this, because there's quite a few in this series, but we'll see. But I hope you enjoyed that and you found it interesting. If you did and you haven't done so already, really helps the channel if you push the subscribe button, and the other button you push, if you could, is the like button, the thumbs up underneath the video. That helps tremendously as well. But if you want to be informed of other content the channel uploads, then push the bell and make sure you click on the all notifications. Otherwise YouTube, being the tinker it is, won't let you know when there's a new video. Leave a comment. I have heard good things about these games. They're quick, they're not too hard, don't take up a lot of table space. But what do you think? Let me know. I love to read them. Thanks as always to my subscribers who stick by me. Thank you so much. And just before I go, one last thing. If you wish to support the channel a little bit further, you can. You can buy the channel a coffee, and there's a link in the description for that. Or you can push the super thanks button underneath the video. and those contributions just help the channel to keep ticking along. So thank you. Right then, that's my first coin game unboxed. Wonder what's next on the channel. But for that, you'll have to wait and see. So until then, as always, you take care and goodbye.